Mayor Garcetti, welcome and thank you for your national and global leadership, as well as all you do for Los Angeles. The virtual floor is yours.
Well, thank you. I want to make sure you can hear me, Dr. Nelson. Can you hear me okay?
I sure can.
Great. Well, thank you for your introduction and your leadership. I should have had my mother here to hear that kind introduction, but really what a joy it is to be with you and everybody else this morning. Thank you to the Assistant Secretary for his great words as well. And in bringing together this convening, this is, I think we've been living through a historic year with some of the toughest challenges and some of the most stressful days we probably all ever carried, from health to economy to what we see burning around us here in Los Angeles and flooding other places with a climate emergency. But we all share one goal, which is to turn the page of history and to collectively write a new chapter, not just in American history, but in our global history, our human history, and to accelerate a goal we all share, a carbon-free energy future, which can sustain life. That's really the question. If you talk to a young person these days, there's two questions that will consume her. One, will the Earth still be around as we know it? And if it is, where do I fit into that economy? Is there a place for me? What will human beings be doing? And we're a stubborn, resilient race, human beings. The human race is a group of people that always overcome challenges, have dealt with tragedy and overcome them. And this is one of those moments, full and rich with opportunity, that is more than just, as some people say, an inflection point. It's a fundamental shift. It is a brave new direction that I believe humanity is headed towards. And this conversation couldn't come at a better time. And it requires us to do, four things. To, of course, first and foremost, to accelerate what we're doing. Second, to be able to collaborate with everything that we're doing. Third, to innovate. And I think just as important, and that's why this is so critical, is to communicate, because it's a very confusing landscape out there for a small business owner, for somebody who is a worker in the old energy economy. These can be very destabilizing times, and throw COVID on top of that in a pandemic, a lot of people just aren't sure what the future holds. And so we're facing these crises together, these intersected climate crisis, public health crisis, economic crisis, throw in equity and racial justice in there. But as we work to respond to our immediate challenges and plan for what it will take, not just to recover and rebuild, really is a moment for us to reimagine. We can't just respond, rebuild, recover, but we have to reimagine what our society, our economy, and our world can be. And we have, a decade. I'm proud to be the chair of C40 Cities. This is a group now of 97 mega cities of the world, the mayors of each one of them. We represent a quarter of the world's GDP. And we are taking concrete, specific, and accountable action to address the climate emergency. As the chair, I've said this is the climate decade. This is time for a global Green New Deal that looks at how we can shift a fairer economy and a cleaner energy practice and environmental regime across the world, in every local government, every private business, every nonprofit or institution, and every human being in their household that needs to be able to translate, implement, and be a part of this as well. We see here in Los Angeles and California, obviously, the devastating impact when our air was literally choked with smoke from fires that keep setting new records here. We've tried to stay a step ahead in Los Angeles, engaging with this work for several years. And so it was in 2015, we put our first sustainable city plan forward, and we had 3 E's in it: the environment, economy, and equity, which a lot of people said, what are those 2 other E's doing in an environmental plan? I think people recognize that they have to move together. We've invested in a record number of renewables in the largest municipal utility in the United States of America. We have the most energy efficient buildings of any city in the United States. And we're well on our way to a 45% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2025. And we're on track to end coal-based electricity in our city's fuel mix by that same year. It's a big, big step, but we're not stopping there. In fact, we doubled down on our initial sustainable city plan and renamed it LA's Green New Deal. While Washington was trying to figure out what that meant, while Europe was taking that term and had actually named it first and was moving forward, we said at the local level, we wanted to embody what that meant. So it has 5 zeros: a zero carbon electricity grid, a zero emission transportation network, and zero emission buildings, as well as zero wasted water and zero waste. But it's a green print that moves us forward towards the goal of zero carbon power by 2045 and carbon neutrality by 2050. We've already peaked our emissions We've had some years with double-digit reductions in our emissions. So for those who think that we cannot do this collectively anywhere in the world, we are evidence that you can. And together with other C40 cities that have also peaked and are coming down, we're showing the world what that glide path looks like. But to achieve our goals of 100% renewable energy supply, we're going to need to make some bold investments, embrace innovative ideas. Like I said, collaborate, innovate, accelerate. So those partnerships are critical. Our Los Angeles Department of Water and Power started this transition with plans to invest nearly $1 billion over the next 5 years in everything from solar to wind to green hydrogen to energy storage. And I know that our great general manager, Marty Adams, will be speaking about the Intermountain Power Plant right after me, so I won't steal his thunder. But I do want to commend him and the department for being open to new ideas. We have been leaders, whether it was in the past huge engineering feats to bring water to a thirsty metropolis, or now more sustainably to do something threefold bigger with water to recycle all of our water here. On the energy side, we're doing the same. And note that the Intermountain Power Plant is a perfect example of the kind of creative investments the department will continue to be making. So on its own, the power plant has the potential to enable over 1 gigawatt of renewable resources over the next 15 years. It's in an extraordinary place that can take advantage of wind from places like Montana and Wyoming, if we can get the wires there. It has the equivalent of a dozen or so Empire State Building-sized salt caverns for storage. And we have the turbines there being rebuilt. A lot of people said, oh, you're moving from coal to natural gas. It's not necessarily a natural gas plant. It is a turbine plant. And what we put in it is up to us and our creativity. So the prospect of a hydrogen conversion of the combined cycle turbines, to me, is an example of how we're continuing to think big, think outside the box, and maybe we can model something for the nation by LA going first. We may be the #1 solar city in America, but I'll admit LA even has its cloudy days. We know we generate then, but we know the storage is limited as well, and we need plenty of options for baseline power. We're earthquake country. We've spent a lot of time on our resilient city plan, but if we get cut off from power because of the grid or because of a natural disaster or anything else, we're going to need things that can sustain us for months, something that solar is very pressed to do in terms of its storage. We're going to need options for backup power for our hospitals that don't rely on diesel. We need rampable storage. We need new methods for heating our buildings and powering the trucks that leave our port every day, and to convert jobs for people who are working with pipes today that carry natural gas to work on pipes tomorrow that could carry hydrogen. We need methods that don't worsen our air quality, but improve it. And we need those solutions right now. So I want all of you listening to know Los Angeles is not only open for business, we want to be your laboratory. We will say yes. We will try things with you. We have the busiest port in the Americas. We've got an airport that is the #1 airport in the world of origination and destination and the second busiest in the United States. We've got the largest municipal utility, and we've got a huge sprawling metropolis with creative engineers, with a great manufacturing base that's always pushed energy, transportation, and creativity. And by the way, the Olympics are coming here in 2028, a great place to showcase during the Olympics and Paralympic Games that innovation around transportation and energy and everything else. And we know the only way that we can realize the promise of our Green New Deal is through that innovation. And this moment cries out for you, for your action, for your innovation, for your collaboration. And we're committed to leading that charge. I also chair and founded Climate Mayors, a group of now over 450 mayors. They are Democrats and Republicans and independents. When our current president said he was going to get out of the Paris Climate Accords, we said, don't worry, if he's out, we're in. And we had this tripartisan, if you will, a group of folks saying, we know that this is where the future is headed, and we will lead. It didn't matter who's president, Democrat or Republican. So much of this work happens at the local, private, and state level. So we will deliver an equitable, prosperous, and healthy future that our grandchildren and children deserve. So that is our responsibility. That is our imperative. And I hope you will be our partners. We are so excited to do new things, but more importantly, we are so excited to make a difference on this defining moment, this defining issue. And I look forward to hydrogen being a huge part of that conversation and those answers. Back to you, Dr. Nelson.